So hey everyone, welcome back to Bow and Arrow Garage. First of all, I want to apologize for the background noise. My neighbors are pouring concrete or something, but it's not anything that I can control. But I want to welcome you back. Today I want to continue working on my engine. I'm getting it ready to stick back in the truck. The last thing I need to do basically is put the push rods and the rockers in. And so I wanted to show you the process that I used. I wanted to measure, anytime you change a cam, you definitely want to measure the push rods on an LS engine. The tool I'm using is a CompCam 7702-1, and basically it measures, and I don't know if the camera will pick this up or not, but it measures push rods between 6.8 and 7.8 inches long. So the stock push rod on the LS engine is 7.4 inches long, and so with this screw down, and there's a line right here, a laser etched line on both ends of this tool. And this tool, you can screw it out and make it longer. So with it run all the way down, those lines lined up, that is 6.8 inches. And every full turn of this is 50 thousandths of an inch. So 2 full turns would be 100,000. So remember then that our stock push rod is 7.4 inches. But what I want to do is I want to go to 7.3. So I'm going to run it out 10 full turns, which will give me 500 thousandths. So 6.8 plus 500 will be 7.2. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I said that would be 7.2. That's actually 7.3. What I want to do is I actually want to go 9 because I want to go 7.25 so I can show the lash adequately. So I went back in half a turn. So let me put my push rod in. I'm going to run down my rocker and I'll show you what I mean by lash. You want to make sure that the push rod is seated in the rocker arm correctly. And we want to run it down snug. So as you can see right now, that is what we're talking about when we speak of lash. Okay, so the push rod is not long enough to force your rocker arm against the spring, and so there's play in it. So that was at 7.25. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm not going to run it out a full turn to take it to 7.3. I'm going to take it a half a turn, and that's going to be 25 thousandths. That's going to take us to 7.275 instead of 7.25. I'm going to go through the same process again. And I still have lash. It's quite a bit less, but I still have lash. And if we wanted to go through this and be even more precise, I can go a quarter of a turn. Put it in there, test it here. Still have a very minute amount of lash. And so now I'm going to go ahead and line up the marks, which will put us at 7.3. And so this takes a couple of seconds to do, or a couple of minutes, I should say. But it's not difficult. And there is ever so slightly a little bit of lash still. Brian Tooley, I called them, and they recommend between 75 thousandths and 100 thousandths preload on your lifter. So basically, we had 7.3 inches got us to 0 lash, but we do not want a 7.3 inch push rod because we haven't set our preload on our lifter yet. So, like I said, they recommend between 75 thousandths and 100 thousandths. So if you take 7.3 plus 75, you get 7.375. Or if you take 7.3 plus 100 thousandths, you get 7.4 inches. So that is the length of the stock push rod. So I'm going to use my stock push rods, and that gets us to that 100 thousandths recommendation of Brian Tooley. Like I said, there may have been a very, very slight amount of lash at 7.3. When I went up to 7.3125, it was completely gone. So even so, I'm well within the 75 thousandths to 100 thousandths lash or preload. I'm sorry. So I'm happy with that. So I knocked over my camera, and so I probably lost some of my footage. In fact, I know I did. Hopefully the camera's okay. So I'm not gonna take the rockers back apart, obviously, just for the sake of getting footage. But basically, you just want to make sure that the particular cylinder you're working on, that the lifters on the base circle of the cam is indicated by the push rods being in the bottom position. And torque them. And I've got one more to do. Turn this around. Turn it 180 degrees. And almost did it to the camera again. So I've got both my valves closed. And all I'm doing is I'm pushing the push rods down against the lifters, making sure the lifters are seated on the cam itself. And then I'm looking at them, and you can see that they're both in the same position. They're at the exact same height. So that just indicates that we are in the seated position with the lifter on the base circle of the cam. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and install the cam position sensor. Alright, and install the mount bolt. Okay, I pulled the valley cover and, as I showed earlier, the cam position sensor out of the other engine. I put the cam position sensor in. I'm going to go ahead and temporarily install the valley cover just to keep any trash out of the engine. So it looks like today's just turning into a day of swapping over all the miscellaneous stuff. So I got these steam vent tubes and the block off plates installed. 106 inch-pounds. So they're torqued. And once again, we got the the cam position sensor bolt. I believe I torqued it. Yep. water pump on this engine. I'm going to go ahead and get it up here and get it started. And then I'll put the 2 middle bolts in. And then I'll pull these out and put some gasket sealer on them. Okay. I got the bolt out that holds the balancer. Now I'm just going to use this OEM tool to pull the balancer off. May not have room though. See if I have room with this. And I do. Alright. So here goes. It's coming right off. And that wasn't supposed to happen. So I used this OEM tool, 25264 balancer remover, and it worked like a charm. Well, folks, we're gonna call it a night. So had kind of a somewhat productive day. Got the rocker arms, push rods installed, got the valve covers installed, got the water pump installed, got the balancer off of the old engine, which was a feat in and of itself. So I'm pretty happy about that. But I went to install the balancer on this engine, and I called O'Reilly's, and they had an installation tool. Went over and picked it up, and it was perfect except for the fact that it was too short. So I wasn't able to use it. So I was looking up on the forums, and a lot of people recommend buying, and I can't remember if it's an LS7 or an LS9 harmonic balancer bolt, which apparently it's a little bit longer than the stock or all the other basically LS engines. And so they said you can buy that bolt, $7 or $8, run the balancer down as far as it'll go with that, and then you can use your stock bolt to install it the rest of the way. And so I think that's what I'm going to do. It's just probably going to be Monday or so before I can get the bolt. Okay, everybody, I was able to get the longer bolt for the harmonic balancer. It is off of a LS7 or an LS8 engine. It's quite a bit longer than the stock bolt. I'm going to use this just to get the pulley started and run it down, and then I'll use the old bolt to pull it the rest of the way on. I was looking for pullers and different things. I was going to have to order them, so this was the cheaper option. I said in the earlier in the video that it was $7 or $8. It was actually right at $15, but the pullers were 30 or 40, so this should work pretty good. I'm going to lube up the threads with anti-seize, run it on, and then when I'm done, I'll clean all the anti-seize out and do the final torque. going to be all she wrote there. So we got her on, got her installed, and we're going to call that good. And that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to show that we did get the balancer installed. And this is the trick, is to use the LS7 or the LS8 bolt to get it started. You never want to try it with the regular stock bolt. It's too short. Even if you can get 1 or 2 threads started, many people have stripped out the threads inside their cranks now, and you definitely don't want to do that. So it was worth investing in a $15 bolt. Like I said, I'm going to be building the other engine for this Corvette back here, so I'll be using that again. So we're just going to call it a tool. You guys have a good night.